Okay, so this is my Dream Life series. Some of you may recognize these characters if you watch Clare Sibohan. I've used her characters to tell my stories just because I really loved her characters, but there were certain aspects of their stories that I wasn't fond of or that I thought would be more interesting if you did it a certain way. So I've taken that and I'm kind of creating my own stories using her starting characters. There's some pretty vast differences between my story arcs and hers, but I am using her characters as a springboard and inspiration. So if you watch Clare Sibohan, you'll recognize a lot of these characters, but there's also going to be some characters that you won't recognize because they're my own characters that have been added in, or there are some characters that are going to have different stories than they did in Clare's universe. Um, so we'll go through where the current characters are in their lives and the important events that happened to them, starting with this family here. So for those who haven't watched Clare's series, and really you should, it's good, these two are the starting Sims, and they're all in bed right now, so let me wake them up. But, so Claire and Allie, and they had 4 children, 3 of which have moved out of the house, and we'll meet them later. Their kids are James, Jessica, or Jessie for short, and the twins Emma and Emily. Emily, who is still in the house, right here. So Claire and Allie are both retired now, but Claire was a famous internet superstar, as you can see here from the internet personality career, and Allie was a professional gamer or a champion gamer. Um, I I don't know if this is a mod I have or if this is a new update to the game, but they get retirement pay now that they're retired, which is really nice. So Emily has recently married Xander, and I will get him up too. And this is Xander, and this is their daughter Faith over here. So for those of you, again, who watched Clare Sibohan's series, Faith is a character that was the daughter of daughter of Emily and Taylor. Taylor is, we'll get to later, he's married to Jessie. This is Taylor's cousin Xander. So you can kind of see where I'm coming from, where they're Claire's characters, but they're springboard in a different way. They don't come from the same places. They're not going to have the exact same stories. So Emily and Xander had Faith. Emily and Xander are both models. This is I don't have the Machine of Stuff pack, so this is a modded career. But they both have big aspirations of becoming supermodels. So currently, there's a little bit of a rift in the family, and Emily is considering moving her family to the city. So Emily and Xander were both kind of absent parents when Faith was a toddler because they were focused on their careers and getting closer to that supermodel position. Because of this, Claire and Allie were a big part in raising Faith. You can kind of see in Faith's relationship bar, she's really close with her grandparents, much closer with her grandparents than she is her actual parents. Right before Faith aged up into a child, Emily and Xander were close to promotions, so Claire and Allie took Faith with them while they went and visited their other kids. So as soon as Claire and Allie retired, they wanted to go and visit their other kids at their homes. And since Xander and Emily were so focused on their promotions, they took Faith with them. So they traveled from house to house for an entire week, playing with the grandkids and helping around the house. When they got back from their trip, Emily wanted to spend some time with Faith, but Faith kept asking Claire to play or get her food or put her to bed and kind of ignoring Emily. Now that Faith's aged up, she's still going to Claire and Allie for advice and for getting help with her homework, and Emily's kind of getting jealous. She thinks that if Claire and Allie weren't around, she'd have a better relationship with Faith. So Emily's been talking to her sister Jessie and Xander's cousin, Jessie's husband Taylor, about doing a house swap. because the 4 kids really don't want to leave their elder parents alone in the house, and Jesse's family is kind of growing out of the apartment they currently have since Jesse and Taylor adopted another kid. So it's not right the way Emily's thinking. It's because she's not been around that she doesn't have such a high relationship with Faith. But to her, if Claire and Allie weren't around, then Faith would have to come to her. So she's just kind of hoping that by moving out, by taking Faith away from Claire and Allie, her relationship will grow with her child because there'd be no one else for her child to turn to. So next we're going to go visit Jesse and Taylor's family, since we talked about them a little bit. While this is loading, I should mention that the dream house is also Claire's creation. I have tweaked it and added my own custom content to make it fit my playthrough. For example, I completely renovated the basement. There's a lot of custom content that Claire had that I didn't, so I had to go through and kind of put pieces in where it was missing and make it my own. If anybody is interested in me going through the dream house and showing you the changes I've made, let me know, and I can do a little quick video of just running through the dream house showing you what it looks like for my playthrough. Okay, so now that we're loaded back in here, we are with Jesse and Taylor. Jesse is Claire and Allie's second oldest. She went through a huge partying phase as a teenager where she met Taylor. Taylor is a politician's son with aspiring dreams to be president himself one day. But he loves his spunky, fiery wife and has vowed to ensure that she stays true to herself despite what society expects out of a politician's spouse. So if you see Jessie, she dresses pretty much kind of youthful, kind of out there and extravagant, but Taylor really doesn't care and he just lets her do what she wants. So upon moving to the city, Taylor and Jessie adopted Kira. Taylor's mentor suggested adoption would be a great way to climb the political ladder and get into the public's good graces. However, upon adopting Kira, the couple immediately fell in love. And Kira was homeschooled throughout her childhood. She only went to school when, upon becoming a teenager, she asked if she could go to school with her cousin Charlie Rose, who used to live next door. Charlie Rose is one of James's daughters, and James used to live in the apartment right here, just so he could help keep an eye on Jessie and in the city and her starting life. But now that she's grown up, he's moved out to a bigger house that can better accommodate his family. So, Ryder was born not long after, and the sensitive child grew into a creative child. The apartment was already pretty full, and they were going to start construction to create an extra bedroom for Ryder, as Kira and Ryder bickering made it clear that sharing a room wasn't going to work. And so for now, because Kira and Ryder were getting into so many fights in Kira's little room, Ryder has been sleeping on the couch in the gym. So the family's looking into renovating. But Monday, on Jessie's first day back at work, she was sent into space to collect samples for her scientist career. While there, she collected a little more than she bargained for. An alien child slipped aboard Jessie's ship for the return flight. This is Luna. After a debriefing with her boss and a call to Taylor, it was decided that Jessie and Taylor would keep the little one until her parents could be found. However, with the defunding of the space program at Jessie's work, she's not so sure Luna's parents will ever be found. So they just had a big press meeting the other day introducing Luna as the newest adopted member of their family. And now with the too small apartment, 2 passionate bickering kids, and an alien secret to keep, Jessie and Taylor are considering taking up Emily's offer to move back in with Jessie's parents. The large house would give Ryder and Kira a place to be their own individuals with their own personal space and reform their friendship. And it would also give Luna a place away from prying eyes to let down her disguise. Jessie and Taylor just are trying to figure out how to explain to their family that their new adoptee is actually from outer space. So the next family we're going to go and visit is James's family. So like I said, James used to live next door to Jesse, but when he got promoted to a star footballer or soccer player, and his family got a little too big for their apartment, James and his wife, Genevieve, moved to Del Sol Valley. Genevieve is not one of Claire's characters. This is one of the characters that I had created on my own. And so the backstory for Genevieve is that James and Jesse both met her when she was in high school. She was actually friends with Jesse before she was friends with James. And Jesse went home with her one day and met her mother, who was not a wonderful person, to put it lightly. Genevieve's mother never wanted kids, got pregnant with a man she was dating at the time, and then the man left, leaving Genevieve alone with her mother, who never wanted her. So James and Jesse, while they were around visiting Genevieve, the mother got violent, and James and Jesse brought Genevieve back home with them, where she lived with Claire and Allie for a little bit as sort of a fostering situation before James and Genevieve got into a relationship. So this is Genevieve, and if I go to her family portal, we can see her mother. Where was her mother? Here. Her mother, Erica, which I need to age up. She should be an elder now. Oh, she's married. Huh, she's married now. That's great. Yeah, but they just really didn't get along, and James and Jesse brought her into their family, and then James ended up falling in love with her. James, which is not here right now, so get here, and neither is Charlie Rose. Where are you guys? It's 2 a.m. Okay, so here's James. This is Claire and Allie's oldest. And then here, like I said, there's Genevieve, his wife. This is Salma. And for those of you who are big fans of Claire's series, you'll recognize the name, but she is slightly different, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Then there's Charlie Rose, who we met out on the street. And then there's Noah and Connor. So, for those of you who are fans of Clare Sibohan, or not, Salma was originally James's wife, but in this one, Salma is their eldest child. So, the move from the apartment to their massive, expensive house wasn't easy on James's family. For a while, James and Genevieve worked every waking moment, from their professional athlete, which is James, he's a professional athlete, and their science careers, to returning home and programming for extra cash until they literally passed out, exhausted. James and Genevieve were dedicated to providing for their family. Their eldest daughter, Salma, was a huge help. At the time, it was just Salma, who was a teenager, Charlie Rose as a child, and Noah as a baby. Salma cooked to ensure that her parents and Charlie Rose ate, and baked things to sell at a food stall right outside their apartment to help her parents raise money. Salma also babysat all of the family kids as well while their parents were at work. At the beginning, Salma was babysitting Charlie Rose, Noah, Kira, Ryder, and Lilith, which we'll meet in a little bit, as well as Charlie Rose's friends Kacie and Skylar, and Skylar's two younger siblings, Aubrey and Maya. And so she would be at the food stall selling while the kids are playing at a playground right next door, or she would be baking food in the kitchen while helping all of the kids do their homework. Salma was a queen and a huge help in getting the family into this massive house. When James and Genevieve could finally afford the move, they made sure that Salma's hard work didn't go unrewarded. Salma was given a small bakery to start her dreams of owning a restaurant, and a lovely garden for Genevieve and Salma to tend together. So the little garden is out here, and it needs some tending right now, but it's 2 in the morning, or 3 in the morning, so they actually should all be in bed. And her bakery is over here. And for those of you who watched Clare Sibohan series, again, this is not exactly like hers. This is technically Willow's bakery, but for my playthrough, it's Salma's. Salma will eventually be getting her own restaurant. That's her dream. As soon as I can afford to buy the dine out pack and make a restaurant, it'll be happening. That's what she's going to do when she ages up. So not long after the move from the city, Connor was born, completing James and Genevieve's little family. And while they're both so proud of their hardworking daughter, upon moving, they encouraged Salma to stop being the parent of the house and to go out and have fun, follow her dreams, and be a child. For Salma, that meant working in her bakery and finding love in her boyfriend Adrian, and let me see, there he is, who she met through the Garden Gnomes Club she joined. Although Salma still babysits the younger kids in her family, she loves seeing and playing with them all, and her family loves giving her the opportunity to cater events whenever they arise to help her get one step closer to her dreams. So, for example, Claire and Allie had a little dinner party with some of the older family members, and they let Salma cater. The charity benefit event that Taylor and Jesse just threw to introduce Luna to the world, Salma catered. So they like giving her the ability to progress these skills that she needs. So Charlie Rose has fallen into your typical Hollywood, or Del Sol Valley, I guess is what it's really called, party queen, and loves dragging her cousin Kira and her best friends Kacie and Skylar to all of the biggest parties. Mommy and Daddy's little angel could do no wrong. After all, bestest Salma makes sure to cover for her when things go wrong and she stays out way too late. Charlie just wants to live her best life for as long as possible before all the responsibility that once fell on Salma's shoulders falls on hers. So she's got a relationship, or boyfriend Asher, who she's getting pretty serious with, but her jealousy is starting to get in the way. She gets really upset when Asher is talking to any of the other girls she drags out partying with her, and she doesn't handle it very well. Noah, he again is not one of Claire's characters, he is one of mine. Noah's a shy kid, and he's already been diagnosed with BPD, and for those of you who don't know, this is a modded trait. It's borderline personality disorder, and so if you want to read it right there, there's what the trait kind of does. So because of this, he finds his large family a little hard to get on with, and not just the family here, but the whole Calorie Aiken clan is very, very close with each other. They come over all the time, they have events together all the time, they go out together all the time, and he finds it really hard to get on with a lot of them. He's much more interested in the friends he's made online, the ones who understands when he gets angry or sad, the ones who don't look at him weird when he goes from happy to angry with little to no warning. Besides, he talks to his grandpa and his cousin Faith on the computer, so he's trying, and in his mind that has to count for something, right? So he's kind of our little struggle bus of the family right now. He's having a hard time, and he's still pretty close with his mom and his dad. It's just everyone else he has a little bit of a trouble getting along with, and he is by far my character with the least family relationships. As you can see, he doesn't really have Jesse or James. Well, he's got Jesse, but he doesn't have Taylor on here. He doesn't have Taylor and Jesse's kids. Whereas most of the other kids, they've got a long, long list of family and family friends. So it's a little bit harder for him to make relationships. So our little one, Connor, here is really giving his parents a run for their money. He's a wild child, and he gets into everything, and even James is having a hard time keeping up with him. He was getting hungry, so I had James give him some food, and James had to run all the way down the driveway to pick him up, because apparently Connor had wandered out of the house and gotten all the way down here. So they're having kind of a hard time keeping up with him, but Genevieve likes to look on the bright side and joke that they're raising the next professional athlete. So that's James's family. And so the last family we're going to be visiting is Emily's twin, Emma. So Emma and Emily are both Claire and Ellie's youngest children, and Emma has had an interesting, tough life, and is by far one of the most intricate and mostly unplanned storylines. There's a lot of stuff in Emma's past that happened by the game doing it on its own that just kind of chose the direction of her story. So right now, Emma is living in Windenburg with 2 kids, one of which who is, of course, not at home at 3 in the morning. With Lilith, she's living with Lilith and Abel. So this is another point where my storyline diverges from Claire's in a really, really big way. And we'll get to that in as soon as it loads in. Okay, so now that it's loaded in, let's get Lilith home. So this, well, it says she's home. I might have paused it. There she is. So this is Emily. This is Lilith. And this little one here is Abel. And Vixie. This is Lilith's little fox puppy, I guess is what they call it, but it's a fox. This is her fox, Vixie, which needs to be aging up pretty soon. So Emma was kind of the trouble child of Claire and Ellie's children. She just wasn't really happy at home. She had quite a lot going on and just didn't feel like anybody really understood her. She joined the Renegades as a child and followed Max, the leader of the Renegades, into the trouble and mischief he caused. This all happened kind of as Emma was starting to really get restless and irritated with her family. The day Emma turned into a teenager, she got pregnant with Max's child and ran away from home to live with Max. Max was working as a mob lackey and had dropped out of high school. Emma still went to high school, and this caused a lot of bickering. After their child Lilith was born, Emma began writing books after she got home from school, and Max started to become actually quite violent towards Emma. Many times Emma would be dead on her feet, and Max would force her into woohoos, only for Emma to pass out as soon as Max was done. Despite the fact that Max only worked for 4 hours at night, he refused to have any part in taking care of Lilith. He wasn't abusive towards Lilith, just really negligent. Emma would leave for school almost 2 hours late, just so Lilith would stay asleep until she got home because Max wouldn't feed her if she became hungry. Emma's brother, James, was actually the first one to go visit Emma, and upon seeing how Max was treating her, he got into a physical altercation, or a fight, with him. For the next 2 weeks, members of Emma's family came around all the time, and Emma and Lilith were hardly left home alone with Max, and this fit into the storyline perfectly, and I wasn't doing the inviting. I didn't invite James around, I didn't invite any of the family members around, but they were always there, always around. A little while after Lilith aged into a toddler, Emma's older sister Jessie was around, and Max was in a foul mood. He fought Emma, and then immediately asked for woohoos. Jessie stopped it from happening by going in and sitting on the bed and refusing to move. Max left for work, and Jessie convinced Emma to pack up Lilith and move back home with Claire and Allie. Unbeknownst to Emma, while she would be at school, Max actually had been inviting over another member of the Renegades, Elsa, and they would talk and flirt until Emma would be due home. Lilith grew up into a child, and right before she was due to age into a teenager, Emma decided that she should have this birthday, this big milestone, with her dad. Lilith, from toddler upwards, had not seen her dad, had not interacted with her dad at all, and Emma decided it was probably about time that her dad played a role in her life. When Emma dropped Lilith off, Elsa was introduced as Max's wife, and they also had a toddler son, Abel, and a baby girl, Chantel. While Lilith was there for the weekend, she grew close with Abel, and upon aging up, spent a lot of her time there taking care of Abel, since Max and Elsa paid him no mind. Lilith got into arguments with Elsa because Elsa fawned over Chantel but wouldn't take care of Abel, and she argued with Max over not taking care of any of his kids. Lilith stayed with Max again the day after Christmas for celebration with her father, so she went back home and came back the day after Christmas just for a little Christmas with that side of her family. While she was there, Chantel and Abel aged up, and the very next day, Elsa set the house on fire and died in the flames. those of you who watch Claire's channel, that followed the storyline right there. That little part right there was created by Claire. That's her idea, and I went ahead and followed with it. So when the fires were finally out, and Lilith started arguing with her father over the possibility that this was sabotage because of Max's work in the criminal underworld. Fearing that the house was no longer safe, Max moved in with his sister Luna in the city. However, due to the size of his older sister's apartment, he could only take one child, and he chose Chantel, who reminds him of his late wife, Elsa. Emma, upon seeing how much Lilith loved Abel, moved out of her parents' house, because before this she was still living with her parents, and with the money from her books, bought a house to accommodate her and Lilith, as well as Abel. Not wanting the traumatized child to end up placed into the foster care system, Emma chose to raise Abel as her own, as long as he'll let her. So for those of you interested, let me see if I can find Max on here. This is Max, and this is Chantel, which is Max and Elsa's other daughter. And just a little interesting note, technically Max and Emma are not broken up. Emma just left. She just fled in the middle of the night, technically, and just left. She didn't break things off. She just took Lilith and ran. So, as you can see, they have, like, little to no relationship, but they are technically still boyfriend and girlfriend, which means that Max had another wife and spouse while having, technically, Emma as a girlfriend. So these are my current families and their stories as they stand now. If you're interested in any specific information on any of the characters, let me know in the comments. Also, if you're wanting to do like walkthroughs of their outfits or anything like that, let me know. This will be kind of like my 100 Baby Challenge update, infrequent and only as things happen that I want people to know about their character development. There are some huge differences already from Claire's storylines, and there will continue to be even more differences as things go along. One big example, Max and Claire's story was never abusive. She made sure to state that he never hit, he never did anything like that. It was just emotional abuse. It was never physical. And Emma and Max got back together in Claire's storyline later because of that, because he was never physical. Max was physically abusive in my playthrough, and they will not be getting back together because of that. I don't condone that at all, and they will not be rekindling their romance, their love. They will not be getting back together, not at all. I haven't decided yet if Emma's going to meet someone else, or if she's just going to singly raise these children all on her own. But, we'll see where it goes in the future. Alright, thank you guys. Have a good day.